The Michael Berry Show.
I read a post by a fellow named Mike Netter that I follow, and he said Lois Gibson holds the world record for the most identifications made by a forensic artist. Since joining the Houston Police Department in 1989, her detailed sketches became a powerful tool for solving crimes. By 2012, her work had contributed to cracking 1,266 cases. She would work another 9 years, so who knows how many. Gibson officially retired in 2021, leaving behind a legendary legacy as the most accomplished and prolific forensic sketch artist in history. Lois became a sketch artist after surviving an attack by someone later found to be a serial rapist and murderer. She took her pain and trauma and made it into something to help others. We should all hope to be the type of person who could turn trauma into power. So I read this. I started calling Popo that I knew, and they would say, "Oh yeah, Lois Gibson. She's a legend." Called assistant district attorneys over the legend. So one of them said, "Call your buddy Ray Hunt. He'll know her." So I did, and he did, and it really is an amazing story, an absolutely amazing story. And she's our guest. Lois, welcome to the program.
Oh, hey, Michael. I'll try to be nice to you.
Oh, please. I don't know what the alternative would be.
Well, I'm really strong and I'm persuasive on the phone, so whatever.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, it's great to be here.
Ramon,
Wonderful
y'all
to
might
be
have to
here.
give us a
And
minute
I'm called
here.
a legend.
You are a legend. First, I want to talk about how you got into this. A horrible thing happened to you, and you took that trauma and turned it. Tell us, however comfortable you are, talking about what happened.
Oh, I have no problem. It was 50 years ago. I was 20 years old. I was a dancer on TV, and I modeled and dated movie stars or whatever. And way before I got attacked, I decided I wanted to leave LA because, wow, is it ever shallow? Ooh, and the dating is terrible. And then a man attacked me in my apartment. He got in by a ruse. You know, oh, criminals don't lie. No, after working 40 years on crime, I know they lie. So he goes, I live in the building here, and why don't we just get acquainted? He was outside my door, and it was a very secure building. It was near UCLA. Professors and dentists lived there. And so I thought, okay, and I opened the door, and he immediately snapped my head almost off of my body. So he was into choking. And then he just choked me. Now it's about 25 minutes, but you lose track of time when you're dying. And then he allowed me to come to. He blacked me out, choking really well, while he's attacking me, while he's committing the quote-unquote assault. So he's choking me out. 4 times I blacked out, and the 4th time I came to, the way I saved myself is I laughed at him. This true story. Just came to me after I went to a seminar, and I saw a woman who was successfully hung to death. It was a postmortem slideshow. Now I'm going back to now. 2 years ago, I saw a girl who successfully had hung herself to death. So that's what I looked like in the mirror, but I blacked it out. Back to when I'm getting attacked. The 4th time I came to, I was positive I was going to die. Trust me, so weak, so very weak after being strangled, and he's just strangling, and he's having fun strangling. So then I thought, are you a good girl? Because this was it. This is my eternal perspective. How am I going to be? And I thought, yeah, I couldn't think of anything bad I'd done. I was a real goody-goody girl. And then for the first time while I was being choked to death, trust me, you'll close your eyes. You will close your eyes. So I thought, okay, I don't know why I thought I'll open my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, it was the most horrific, horrible person that I will not try to describe. But I knew that the lowest place, the worst place in hell, this man was going to go. And I immediately, the only feeling I had was sympathy and compassion, because he was so bad. So I thought of him like my brother, and I thought, oh, he's terrible. And then when I thought back to me, it made me laugh. And if you're dying, you will laugh. So I threw my head back. Well, that opened my mouth. I gasped for breath. I came to, and I got him to finish. I got him to go limp. I got him to exhaust himself. So he went limp, and then we both ran for the door. I was living in a nice apartment. We ran for the door. He got there first. I was real weak. He pushed me back, and closed the door, and I locked all the locks. And then I went and saw myself as a hung woman. Now, I forgave, do you understand? I forgave the man that was killing me while he was killing me. That's the only way you can think of it, because the first and only thing I thought was I felt sorry for him. You see, I took him in as a brother. Then, flash forward, I left L.A. I had already saved money. I wrote out, and I moved to Texas by picking it out on a map I had drawn. After I turned around 7 times, 5 out of times, my finger landed on Texas, and so I drove there with no friends, no job, and just made it work. Got my degree. That's why I came back. And I started at UT Arlington back in, anyway, it took me 8 years to get through college. I waited tables. I love waiting tables. I made a fortune. In today's dollars, I was making $2,000 to $3,000. Well, that was doing portraits on the Riverwalk. I'm sorry, $1,000 to $2,000 waiting tables. And then I stuffed the memory down of being nearly killed. But when I got to Texas, eventually I graduated from UT Austin and went to the Riverwalk in San Antonio and did tourist portraits, which is the most beautiful time of my life. I just sat there and took cash from people. That's when I was making around $3,000 a night. And I did beautiful fine art portraits of kids and people on honeymoons. And after I was doing that, I did about 3,000 portraits so I could draw like a fish swims in water. I drew so good. And then I fell in love with the guy that I drew and moved to Houston. And then I heard the news. And I couldn't listen to the news. And then the way I thought of what I was going to do is I was at my girlfriend Diane's house on Hewitt and 43rd. And they came on the TV talking about a terrible rape of a lady in Galveston. She was a dance instructor in front of her little students who were like children, 12 and 11-year-old little girls. And I was so shocked, I stood up. I never listened to the news because I couldn't stand to hear the R word. I can't say rape. So they said that, and I went to turn the TV off. And I relived my attack, and I told Diane, I said, I could draw that guy. Why don't they let me draw the guy? All they do is say 5'10", brown hair, brown eyes. I'm going, that's everybody. And then she goes, well, just call the cops. And I said, no, I got to practice.
Hold on just a moment. The most prolific sketch artist in American history. Solved more cases than anyone, well over 1,000. Lois Gibson is our guest. More coming up.
Mr. Michael Berry.
Taken from us far too soon. Celebrated sketch artist Lois Gibson was with Houston Police Department for decades. Well over 1,000 cases solved because of her sketches. You'll see on the blast today. You can go to michaelberryshow.com and sign up for the blast, and you'll see some of the here's the bad guy and here's the sketch she drew that led to his apprehension. It's pretty darn impressive to think from memory how these things were conveyed to her, and then she made it happen. Lois, before we get into the actual cases, you didn't. I guess you glossed over. How did you know how to draw? I mean, if you were able to draw those portraits of tourists, where did you learn that skill?
Oh, no. I was born with it. Some people are just born and they have an urge to just draw faces. And that was me. So anyway, when I was with Diane, I sent her to the gas station. She got change and she came back. I couldn't see the guy, and it seemed impossible. In fact, I tried to quit, and she would push me around, and I finished drawing from her description. And then she says it looks like him, and I broke down. We drove to the gas station, and it looked exactly like him. I taught myself how to do it by just having someone look at somebody I hadn't seen before and coming back, and I can't see them. And I offer people to do that exercise themselves. I have instructions on my Facebook page and on my loisgibson.com, and I can teach you how to do this. But back to, yes, the first time I did it, but then here's the hard part. I needed to convince the police. Nobody uses forensic artists. In fact, did you know the entire country has only 2 states that have forensic artists, and there's just one in Georgia who does the entire state. She took my class, Kelly Lawson. She's better than me. I love her. She's like my daughter. And then I have started 4 artists here in Texas. The rest of the country has none because everybody does not believe I can do what I can do. But yes, even a semi-talented artist can draw a face that's going to resemble the perpetrator from someone's memory. I'm positive, but I need to convince people. I wrote a book, Forensic Art Essentials. You can get it on Amazon. I have it on my Facebook, and I suffered greatly for 2 years. That thing will give it to you. I made that book to teach you, if you're out there and you can draw, how to be a forensic artist for after I pass away and go to the big drawing board in the sky.
Well, let's talk about that. So you didn't have official training in that. Let's talk about a case. Paul Baker, who's my private investigator and dear friend, when his brother was robbed and shot, he said Lois Gibson came to the hotel the hospital, and drew the assailant, the perp. When you go in, when you're brought in to begin drawing a sketch, walk me through how that process works.
Well, it's really easy, and I have it described in my book, but I'm going to tell you in 60 seconds how you do it. If you're one of these weirdo artists like me, there's a book called the Steinberg Catalog. The whole world uses it, and it has pictures of eyes, lips, noses, etc., right? Wouldn't that be good? And if you can't even talk, I have people that can't talk. A 4-year-old sees his parents killed. Anyway, the witness looks and picks out, you get 2 books. So you have a book, and they say, that's the nose, that's the lips. And there's about 200 per category. And that's what I've used for years, helped solve over 1,000. So you get that book, and they say it's those eyes, you draw those eyes. The nose, draw that nose, etc. And you do it where they're not looking. You compose it in good proportion. And then you say, hey, I'll change anything you want. And then you turn it around and do that. You change anything you want, and that's how you do it.
So put yourself into the mindset of all these people who had to convey something to you, and you're like a medium. You're the vessel through which their memory has to come to life. What are the shortcomings of remembering? Because I think to myself, I look across the glass at Ramon every day. If I sat down with you right now and we had to draw him, other than him being bald, I don't really know that I could figure. I don't know what his nose looks like or his chin or whatever else.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure Ramon is just adorable and gorgeous. But listen, you say what everybody else says. Everybody says they can't do it, but they're wrong. I'm right. Yes, you can. I've got people that were shot 15 times. I've got people and walked 2 football fields and nearly bled to death. And I got a sketch that got the guy. I had a 4-year-old saw a parent slashed to death. I did one 6 years later from a girl who couldn't speak and only blinked for yes and no. No. False. Your belief is false. If you got with me, first of all, I know how to relax people. Really good. I know how to make you feel better, because you feel terrible. And then if you relax enough, you can remember your 3rd grade school teacher or your first kiss. What did that person look like? It's in there. And then if I have the feature catalog, Samantha Steinberg's feature catalog, if I give you that, you will recognize features that are similar. I'm positive. I have proof. But everybody believes like you, and that's why no police department in the whole country almost has a forensic artist, and they should all have them. They should all. I'm positive. Of course, you think you're talking from the frontal lobe. You're talking about speech and I don't know. But the visual cortex is in the back of your brain, and if I show you pictures of noses and lips, instantly you recognize something that's similar.
Do you think that in a moment of trauma, a rape, a beating, an assault, these awful things, that your mind locks in with greater acuity than you would normally?
Finally, you're right about witness memory. Correct. The worse the trauma, The better the sketch, if you know how to handle someone, you have to be a bag of wonderful because you're going to meet with somebody that the worst thing in the news just happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you just have to get them relaxed. And there's so many techniques. I describe them in my book, Forensic Art Essentials. You take the task away. First of all, like with you, I'd say, oh, we don't have to draw a detailed, no. We just have to draw the hair. Everybody remembers hair. And you get them relaxed. And like, was it a man or a woman? Ramon's a man. Okay, we've gotten rid of half the population of the world. It's a man. Anyway, you just narrow it down, get the person relaxed, and show them pictures, and it will reach their visual cortex, which is very vivid. I've done this from mentally disabled people. They could drive a car but not do math. I've done it from a 4-year-old who saw his parents slash dip in Ulysses, Kansas, and you just use the book. The 4-year-old, he only spoke Spanish. I mean, could I, have more handicaps?
Right. Just one moment. Lois Gibson, sketch artist extraordinaire, is our guest.
I'm just sitting here listening to Michael Berry.
Lois Gibson is our guest. She was the sketch artist for Houston Police Department for decades, with a listing in the Guinness Book of World Records for most crimes solved because of her sketches. Lois, looking at the sketches for some of the cases where the guy was found, it feels like you're literally looking at this photo and then drawing it because it is that good. And again, part of your skill, as you said, is not just drawing what's conveyed to you, but getting that person to give you enough specificity to get this thing down on paper. But tell me if there is one case of yours that you are most proud of, that you say, we nailed it.
Well, Officer Paul Deason was on patrol, and a guy got out and shot him in the head, shot him in the back, and then as he lay on the ground, the shooter got in the car and ran over and drug him 65 feet. So he almost died, but I went to the hospital just a little bit later, and he was all wrapped up in gauze. And he doesn't remember doing the sketch with me, but I whispered in his ear. I knew I was just going to be a voice, and I tried to just sound wonderful. And I got a sketch from him, and they released it. 2 guys at the jail thought the sketch looked like a guy that was arrested for shoplifting a chainsaw from Sears. Donald Dutton was shoplifting a chainsaw, and he got caught for that, and the guys at the jail said, that looks like the sketch, and they had a video lineup in Paul Deason, Officer Deason's hospital room, and he picked him out, and then they went to the scene and found the car that the shooter was in, and pieces of Paul's skin and uniform were hanging from the undercarriage, so that was him. No, we nailed it. I got him. I reached out for a helpless officer who got killed, but he didn't die. He's the toughest guy. I love this guy just because he's tough. But yeah, I love that I reached out for a helpless officer.
Absolutely. So I got an email from a fellow named Tony who writes, Lois is awesome. I worked with her at HPD back in 2001. I took one of her sketches from the roll call room at Westside and made it my mission to find the Inwood rapist. While on patrol, I observed a black male in a brown Oldsmobile driving east on Briar Forest, turning north onto Lakeside Estates. The driver was not wearing his seatbelt, and after running his plates, I found that the registration was expired. He pulled into the car wash, Greg Bingham's car wash, and I pulled in behind him, conducting a traffic stop. I contacted Homicide Sex Crimes, who agreed to accept a hold on the suspect, so I arrested him on new traffic. When they interviewed him, he confessed to this crime, and 8 others. It would not have been possible to catch him so quickly if not for Lois Gibson. She is a hero. That's got to be nice for people to say nice things like that.
I love him. And then, Tony, why didn't you tell me all that? That's wonderful. There's over 1,000 stories. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. That's why I live for it. That's why I put up with the grief, and I don't go insane with rage and grief, because I have to look at this horrible stuff, but I get a chance to get the bad guy. I love that. I love that, Tony.
Well, the presence of Forensic Files and Dateline and all these television shows and catching the bad guy, to get to do that in that way, I would have to think is so rewarding.
Oh, yeah, I got no upper body strength. I'm weak. I'm over emotional, you can tell. But I use those emotions in my art. And to catch somebody, it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful symbiosis of you feel so sorry for the person that's been nearly killed. And that emotion makes you draw faster and better.
Wow.
I mean, it enhances. And then if it's a baby kidnapping, there was a 10-hour-old baby kidnapped, and I got with the mother, and that thing looked like a photograph, and I couldn't go to sleep. I said, I can't, after I got home from the hospital, and I said, I can't go to sleep with that baby out there, 10 hours old. And they came on, and Dave Ward was going, they got the baby back. And I saw them with the baby, and the girlfriend of the kidnapper called up, and they got her back instantly. So, oh no, there's no fulfillment for an artist that compares to this.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine how rewarding that, how few people get this opportunity in the course of their life. I can't also imagine the trauma that you endure, because we know that just like being a medic or in Iraq or Afghanistan, or just like serving in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam, you deal with that trauma as well. I'm looking at a photo that's on your website, and there you make reference to age progression. So when we've got somebody that maybe we even have a photo of, and you have to do age progression, how do you process what you're going to do there?
Oh, that is so easy, and I covered it in the book. I mean, I've done those since I was like a little girl. They'd show Pat Sajak as a baby, and I go, oh, that's Pat Sajak. I mean, I do it in my mind, so I'm the best at that. I had 1 and 2 year old baby pictures, and they've been separated from the sister for 30 years. She'd been looking for 16, and I got her on Unsolved Mysteries, and they got her back that day, and they look just like them. No. Age progression is easy. I love it. If you do my work, if you do skull reconstructions, and I have it in my book, I have how to do age progressions. It's real simple if you're an artist. So I can look at babies, and I can tell who the mom and dad is, and also I can tell how they'll look at like as an adult. And I started doing that, and then I had grandbabies. I want to tell you, my grandbabies are going to be so good looking when they're older.
And I'm betting there are going to be lots and lots of drawings of them as they get older and grow into those photos.
Oh, I already painted the one baby before she got hair. No, I'm obsessive portraits of my grandbabies for sure.
I think it is absolutely fantastic. It's incredible. I think of all the victims who survived, and their family members, and those who did not become victims of people who were put away because of your work. It really is incredible, Lois. A life well lived, an incredible public service. Thank you for being our guest, my dear. Her website is loisgibson.com. loisgibson.com. And I will give you a minute to close.
Well, thank you, Michael Berry. There's no artist doing this. I want to start as many careers.
It just happened. Good. Go ahead. You're good.
A bat at the bureaucracy where you're at to try to get you used. Okay? Be a forensic artist.
It strikes me as one of those things that, as big and bloated as major urban police departments are, or if nothing else, the DPS doing it and sending it in when they're needed. The sad part is that there are this many crimes for which we need forensic artists.